I have a confession to make. I have never played Final Fantasy VII. I know what some of you are saying right now. Never played Final Fantasy VII? How could you have not? That's blasphemy. Listen, it's not that I didn't play Final Fantasy VII out of choice, it's just I never got around to it. Despite the game seeing several ports spanning different console generations, as I got on in the years of my gaming career, it was harder and harder to give it a chance. From a technical perspective alone, the game's polygon aesthetics are very harsh on the eyes. Despite all that, I'm not proud that I can't share in the nostalgia of one of the biggest games in the history of gaming. However, since the announcement of the remake, I have never been more excited to have not played a game in my entire life. On March 2nd, 2020, the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo was gifted to the PlayStation community sometime before I had the chance to fully wake up. While scrolling through Facebook, my dreams still lingering in my hair, I was struck with excitement like it was Christmas morning. The only thing I can think of with all my friends buzzing on Facebook was get up, get out of bed, and start downloading.
You're up. You're coming with us. Nice and easy.
Don't think so.
I'd like to say, I've been dodging content spoilers from Final Fantasy VII demos available at events and floor shows that I've never been to, and I've kept my eyes pretty narrow to what I've seen over the years in terms of full story from the original game. I don't like spoilers. I'm not a spoiler guy. I wanted to experience this for myself. This was Final Fantasy VII, and yet, I have seen Advent Children, I have watched fantasy matchups, I've played Kingdom Hearts. I am no stranger to the hype that is Cloud.
What was his name again?
Cloud Strife.
Right.
And he isn't a soldier anymore. Still, he's a professional, unlike the rest of us. I'm glad to have him.
That being said, I can firmly say that nostalgia is a bias that oftentimes blinds us to the creation that we never realized we needed in the first place. At least in the case of Final Fantasy VII the Remake, however, it's shaping up to be the definitive experience, leaving the original to be classified as nothing more than a prototype in my eyes. Now, before I lose you guys, let me explain. Now, looking at some demo comparison videos, there are some very key things I'd like to point out. It's more than just better graphics that makes a better game, it's about direction, camera angles, depth of field, ambiance. Characters have expression in body language and emotion that could never be expressed in simplified text. These characters and environments have been fully fleshed out, giving texture to the experience that we can only see in our imaginations. As a first-time player being introduced to the initial experience, I fell in love with Barret and Cloud simply from their body language alone. There is an unspoken endearment and anxiety that is given while the camera pans around the characters while showcasing the beautiful details of the environment, then quickly slipping right into action-packed gameplay filled with banter and tone-full dialogue. Personally, I find this far better than any random encounter could provide, abruptly cutting away into a first-grade sentence structured text box cutscene with the only tone provided by a few exclamation points and ellipses. It's not like I'm trying to bash the original, or the opinions of fans of a game that culture's praised for decades. No, not at all. I'm thanking you guys, because here we are.
It's over!
That's my line.
He's alone! We can take him! Make it rain!
Enough. That's that.
We're back!
Let's move.
POE
Now, one of the complaints I've seen about this game is the change in formula, coming from a turn-based RPG to a real-time, fully fleshed out action RPG. But to me, during my time with the demo, it feels a little like Kingdom Hearts. I have recently been reliving that nostalgia, and I remember a time when fans hoped Final Fantasy Versus 13 would have similar action combat with Advent Children style polish. Fans have been begging Square Enix to give more gameplay similar to that, which has never really been achieved in any later iteration of Final Fantasy. With the latest entry of Final Fantasy 15 and Kingdom Hearts 3, the Final Fantasy VII Remake almost feels like a marriage of those things. They have learned, and the fans have been asking for it. Final Fantasy 15 had some very flashy, over-the-top animation that was very similar to the flashiness of Advent Children. However, it was packaged very poorly in what felt like a big side quest of a game. Kingdom Hearts 3, on the other hand, has its own uncomparable challenge of carrying an insanely convoluted story while still capturing a new and old audience. It had some very satisfying gameplay elements, making a menu fairly easy to navigate while using real-time combat, despite what feels like some lacking depth from Kingdom Hearts 2. Then in comes Final Fantasy VII Remake, which isn't trying to build up a sequel or start fresh. With characters well established and a world people already love, all that was left to do is breathe life into it. The kind of life that would make tired tropes of random encounters sprinkled in a flat world obsolete. Man, has swinging an insanely large sword never felt more satisfying in a video game.
Pretty cocky, ain't you? You double-crossing!
Heads up.
What in the hell? Hey, how the hell do we fight this thing?
It's got reinforced armor plating, but the internals can be overloaded. Lightning magic.
No other option, huh?
Deal with that.
Guess it's my turn. Asshole!
Bring it.
Stance changes, real-time dodging, blocking, positional tactics, character swapping, party commands. How could anyone tell me that stationary boss fights with charge time gauges spaced in between menu pauses made you feel immersed? And I love strategy games. And the old style of turn-based games is still endearing in a way, but they feel more like chess than a universe made to pull me in. With games like The Witcher 3 or the punishing Souls games, how could a graphically pretty turn-based game even compare? Truthfully, I don't think it does. I wrote this essay not to convince anyone about anything, but simply to express my sheer satisfaction that I felt today when playing this demo. It's hard to believe this game isn't made with passion. Hard to believe that it's just another developer squeezing the very life out of an IP, abusing a fan base. Besides, that's probably how they made the money for this game in the first place.
You're as good as dead.
So here we are, now only weeks away from a game that I'll happily throw my money at, because I want to play Final Fantasy VII. I owe it to myself to experience this story and share in the emotions that the gaming culture has embraced for decades. This is a game meant to last and take the reins yet again to be the nostalgia we're talking about in the next 20 years. And maybe our kids will talk about their excitement for swinging around a giant sword and the emotions they faced when they finished the game. And we can share a story of our youth, reminiscing with them about how this game came to be. And you can show off a prototype from an age of tech that we'd hardly remember, but one that I sure as shit won't lose my appreciation for. Thank you everybody who took the time to listen to my essay about the Final Fantasy VII Remake demo. I hope to make more essays like this about just my perspective in the gaming world and bring you a little closer to me and why the culture means something so special to me. I'm still trying to get a feel for this YouTube thing, but you can always check me out every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday on twitch.tv/0saru. Thanks again. See you next time.